Hi guys, welcome to the Me, Myself and Mine podcast. And today we are joined by a guest that's been on the show before. Beth Woodward is a medical student and was completing her fourth year at medical school before the pandemic of coronavirus. But she now finds herself working on the front lines for the NHS and battling Covid-19. And today we're going to be talking about some of the lessons that we can learn from this virus and how we can then implement healthier habits within our lifestyle to take forward into a positive future. So I hope you guys enjoy the podcast. Hi Beth, how are you and how have you been during this time?
Hi Dan. Well, life's changed quite considerably since the last podcast. I've been employed in the local NHS trust, finding myself working almost as a doctor, seeing some horrible things, but also seeing lots of good things as well. So yeah, I'm doing well. How are you?
Yeah, we're really good, thank you. Just trying to stay consistent and staying positive and keeping ourselves healthy is the most important thing.
Yeah, that's the main thing while we've got the time, Mrs.
Going. Just on that note, Beth, there's a lot of negatives around this current situation at the moment.
Yeah.
Do you think there could be some positives that can be gleaned from the situation, as in, people are slowing down a little bit and they may be isolated with the family, there's a bit more connection. How do you feel on this?
I think we're never going to get this time again where we're literally not allowed to do everything that we normally do. So I think slowing down is such a benefit to everyone, and everyone should take advantage of this time they've got with their families.
Really? And with all of the stress, do you think the stress has been reduced from work because a lot of people are working from home and there's less commuting?
I think so. I think it depends on people's personal circumstances and financial worries and stuff, but I think having all of these things we'd usually stress about, all these small things like getting stuck in traffic, workplace politics, all of that, it's all been removed. So suddenly we've got less things to worry about and everything becomes a bit clearer.
Yeah. So I mean, it links into, it's almost like that treadmill that we were all on. I know you're in the midst of it, but that treadmill that everybody's on all the time, why are they actually on the treadmill, and is it making them productive in the right areas?
Yeah, no, I get it. And before this happened, I was heading into my exams, had so many different deadlines to meet and all this other stuff, trying to keep my job going and everything, and just felt like I was on a constant oh, this is not going to slow down. I remember thinking I'm not going to have a break until the middle of June. Literally, I cannot find any time to have a break. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then this happened and everything stopped. All my exams have gone away. Can't work. Well, obviously in the NHS, but my other job. And suddenly everything's gone away and you're just what actually matters?
Yeah.
And the things that matter now are us staying safe, looking after ourselves and connecting with people.
It's almost this compare contrast, isn't it? What we used to think was important now is sort of minor on the scale, and this allows us, we were discussing earlier, probably time for reflection. Do you agree with that?
Oh, massively, yeah. Obviously I can't speak for everyone, but training to be a doctor, reflection's a massive part of how we learn from things that have happened. Yeah. And I've taken on that in every aspect of my life since this has happened, and I'm reflecting on so many different things about where I'm headed in my life, what things are important to me, how I'm going to be different when life gets back to normal. And I think I hope that a lot more people are doing that as well, reevaluating what's important.
Because I don't really think we often get that time to sit back and reflect. Is this serving me? Am I happy with what I'm doing? And just as you said there, you do a lot of reflection, but I do think it's a massively important thing for people to be doing right now.
Oh, absolutely. And it's because it's a conscious process, isn't it? You have to actually, it depends if you write it down or if you just think about it, but it's something that requires active energy. So most people are, I don't have time for this, but now you've actually got the time to sit down and just be okay, what from my old life do I want to continue doing and what do I not?
It's almost unpicking things, isn't it? It's being more conscious. We're more consciously aware than that old automatic program, which was go 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 all the time.
And going back to what you said about productivity, like realizing just how unproductive a lot of the things that we were doing before are now. Like even having meetings online is way more productive than an entire trip like to the other end of the country just for a 2-hour meeting and then back again, when it can be done online.
Yeah.
And even go on, sorry.
No, what was you going to say there, Beth?
I was going to say, even part of being productive is actually just slowing down, because that's way more beneficial than being on that treadmill all the time, as you were saying, Dom.
Yeah. And like, have you ever been that much in a rush and you've got so much to do that you're actually doing nothing?
Nothing, yeah. And you make a list.
Busy fool.
Huh?
It's the old terminology, being a busy fool. We're just
doing 10 million things at once and not actually doing anything productive.
And I think, we say it's a great time for reflection and maybe planning for a more positive future, taking into account what you like, what you dislike, how you want to continue. I mean, we're not expecting people to change their lives drastically, but just those simple questions, is this serving me? And, why am I continuing these actions, could really sort of change the game of people, of the little bits, the little parts of people's lives.
Definitely.
And like what you were saying earlier about, is this serving me? I found that kindness towards yourself and others in this time has like kept us all going. And I hope that people will continue that. Just saying hello to people in the streets makes such a difference.
Yeah.
Letting people know that you're there for them. Elderly neighbours that you're like, can I get you anything? Like all of that stuff serves people well. It doesn't cost anything. It's like, I hope that
it's seeing like, that street party last week for V-Day.
Yeah.
All the elderly and everybody coming outside, having cakes, having a party. And it's nice to see them all communicating. And I know it's from a distance, but I just hope that kind of community vibe continues.
Definitely, yeah. And if anything, it's having us not being able to see each other and having to socially distance has made us realise just how important connection is. Because I'm sure like everyone's the same as me, it's not things that I miss, it's being with people and all these social things, such as, just being able to see your friends is the things that everyone misses. Make us value that so much more now it's been taken away.
Oh, definitely. And I mean, that leads us on to the next talking point, and it is that, what we're saying, we hope that people continue this community, this connection.
Community spirit, isn't
it? This situation has stripped us right back to basics, maybe taking away some of those things that we like doing in our lives. But it's also give us time to appreciate the little things. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. It's the things that now in my day that just bring me joy, that I'm like so excited for. Just for obviously the rules have changed a bit now, so we can go out a bit more, but going out for that day, like the hourly exercise, I was so conscious to be mindful of everything around me and how lovely the place that I live is. And I don't like live in a particularly like beautiful place, but there's always beauty to be found. And I've just like some lovely like nature reserve just like right by my house I never knew existed.
Yeah. Do you feel that slowing down has allowed you to look more at the outer world?
Yeah, and just slowing down and seeing what's around you and just thinking, this is actually really nice. Even my back garden, just sitting in there and watching the birds and all these things that don't cost anything. It's just what I find brings me joy now.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, because we're only with the people that are in our household, the only time that we've got to connect with others is by, our mobile phones and, Instagram or even FaceTime. But, has that like really shown you the importance of the connection of those people around you? Like, how does it make you feel when you get to chat with those loved ones that are not in your household?
It's something that I really took for granted before, I think. And I've had so many phone conversations with friends that we'd always say, we'll catch up one day, we'll catch up soon, and never ever happens. And then actually now we've been you know, we're all isolated, you take time to phone these people and you have such like meaningful conversations with them.
Yeah.
It's that.
And I think because everyone's in that same situation, it's almost like you've all got different perspectives, but we've all been thrown into that same situation, that same boat.
It's a common theme, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's almost like we've got each other to rely on.
Yeah. And because it's something that's happening to literally every person in the country and obviously in the world, that it's not us versus them. It's like we're all in this together.
Yeah. And what you were saying there about you know, taking time to look around you and find beauty in the things that you didn't even notice before.
Yeah.
Have you also used, you know, any forms of gratitude or being grateful for what you have rather than what you haven't in this situation?
Yeah, I did that anyway, like practice gratitude, but like consciously writing it down every day and night. But now, like, it's kind of shifted to what I'm like grateful for, and I think I'm just grateful for so many more things that I wasn't necessarily before.
The smaller things, maybe.
Yeah, and I was more grateful for like the opportunities and like that I've been given and studying medicine and all the things I get to do. But now it's just the small things, like the fact that I've got a beautiful place to sit and have a coffee in the morning, that the fact I'm healthy, the fact that I'm, you know, all these small things you just pass you by.
Yeah. And it's, you know, all of us are in, like we said, a similar boat, a similar situation, but some of us have very different home lives, and some of us, you know, might be at work, some might be off, some might have, you know, be furloughed.
Yeah.
But again, it's no matter the situation that we're in, we can always reframe it some way to look at more of a positive side.
Yeah. And that's kind of like, and just drawing on my own examples from the hospitals, when there's been times I've found it really tough, particularly when patients are dying and the families can't come in to see them, rather than getting like, obviously I did get upset about it, but then going home and reflecting on it, thinking, right, when I go in tomorrow, my presence can make a difference to that person, just sitting there and talking to them and telling them, you know, like chatting rubbish to them, like, oh, the weather's nice today, like, even though just knowing someone's there and thinking when I went home, you know, I've done my bit today. It was only a small thing, but I did something good for someone, and it helps you to just realize that all these horrible things are happening, but goodness can come out of it as well.
It must feel really good that you're giving them that support, Beth, you know, to these patients and the visitors and their family, you know, that's
I think it's like a double-edged sword, because I'm trying to be the relative for everyone, and that's obviously completely exhausting for me. But the kind of the feedback I've had from patients and their families, like over the phone, or when I've like socially distantly picked up a parcel for the patient, like with some sweets and stuff, they like, their gratitude is just so, like, they're so grateful for the work that I'm doing, and it's just like, and I'm not even doing anything medical, like I'm literally just sitting with them and, I don't know, getting them a cup of tea, and they don't care about the medical stuff. What they care about is that someone cares.
But it's those little things, isn't it?
Yeah, it's that connection and compassion, isn't it? Just reflecting on what we were talking about a little bit earlier about this treadmill that we were all on before the lockdown. Do you think it's time for people possibly to rethink their daily habits? You know, it could be time, because you mentioned getting out to a nature reserve, so time for exercise, meditation, just changing things and maybe eating healthier. You know, I know myself personally, I've been doing a hell of a lot more cooking than I would have normally, and healthy food. You know, I don't know whether you think it's time to change that thinking.
I think so, yeah, because now we've got the time to kind of try bits and bobs of things that we like, things that we don't like, things that we know are good for us, but before we never had time to do it. You can kind of be more mindful of how things make you feel and whether you want to continue. And all of these things that we've said about going out in nature, eating really well, doing more exercise, of course they're going to make you feel good. So knowing that you've had this time to do those things, you'd hope that people continue them when life returns to, you know,
to normal, whenever that's going to be.
I
think it's about, as you said, it's, you know, we found that we're more mindful of our bodies. You know, perhaps thinking along healthier lines, obviously because of this virus out there. People want to stay healthy.
Yeah.
So maybe those habits are going to change, like we said, you know, going into the future, and maybe habits will be kept up, hopefully.
Yeah, like just personally, I always liked the idea of doing yoga before COVID, but going to a class was always more stressful than it was relaxing, like surrounded, like getting there to be on time, having to like make sure I've got cash to go, park in the car, all this stuff, and then being home, make my dinner, make my breakfast, like all this, just it was like more stressful. But now I've established that actually I can do it at home, and I can do it in my own time. I can pick a time slot that's, you know, on YouTube, and it's something I'm going to continue. But I've also been asking, when patients that we've had from intensive care are now on the wards, I've been asking them, like, do you think you'll change how you live now you've had this experience? And every single one of them has said, yeah, this has made me want to look after myself more, slow down, like appreciate all the things that we've just been talking about. So it's a shame that it's taken, you know, this awful thing and near-death experiences for people to go, whoa, I need to take stock and look at my life a bit more.
This danger, hasn't it, now that's changed everybody's opinion, and hopefully this will become more consistent. Like you say, you can explore new avenues, whether it's healthy healthy food stuff that will cook more at home, or like yourself, maybe doing the yoga at home. But also now thinking about taking time for yourself, because a lot of us have found ourselves on our own. Do you agree that's important to self-reflect? I know we need connection, but sometimes we're so busy with so many family members. Sometimes it's good to be on your own for a little while and realise what you do want. Do you think?
Yeah, I agree. And I think a lot of people like try to stay out of their own heads by keeping busy and doing different things. And now they've literally been forced to sit there and think about things, and maybe realise that being in your own head isn't as scary as it should be, and you can change the way you think about yourself.
I mean, we should sort of get to know ourselves, because that's the only person that we're really ever going to know. I mean, we can know people, but you don't really know them. You don't know them to the depths of what they're thinking. So, I mean, I think it is good that we get to know ourselves. You know, that's the person that you're stuck with for your whole life.
Yeah. And as you said about trying new things, like obviously we can't, there's a lot of things that we can't do, but having slowed down, you can have a think about, oh, do you know what, I'd like to try that, or I want to continue doing this habit. Like running for me was always something that I just did because I enjoyed it and it relaxed me, but now it's something that I really want to carry forward, like not competitively, but I want to like enter like half marathons and things like that.
Yeah.
And then equally, it's made me realise things that I really do miss, like how like beneficial weight training in the gym is.
Yeah.
I know for you, Dan, you've loved doing training at home, haven't you?
Yeah. I mean, we spoke before, didn't we?
Yeah.
I've really found it enjoyable, but maybe that's because I was always in the gym environment before. And now that I'm outside and I've got a few weights at home and bands, nothing like I used to have available to me at the gym. But I feel like because I'm training outside, one, I'm in nature, but two, it's a different scene than what I was used to before. So maybe that's changed things for me, and it's something that I now enjoy.
Yeah. Whereas for me, like I hate doing it at home. Like I've changed my focus to just doing more yoga and more running and doing a little bit of resistance training, because I just don't enjoy it at home. And I think that shows like the difference between us two, and it's perfectly fine.
Yeah, but it's just finding what works for you, and I think that only comes when we spend that time on our own to get a deeper understanding of ourselves and the current situation that we're in.
Yeah. And I think, like you say, having that time on your own, I've realised so many things that I was doing because I thought that I should be doing them, or I felt pressured into doing them because of like society or whatever. And actually, like, none of it matters. None of it matters at all. No one cares.
I think we've grown. People have grown, like you were saying yourself and Dan, with the exercise. It's about adaptability, isn't it? It's about being flexible.
Yeah.
Maybe as humans we weren't as flexible as we actually thought we were.
Yeah.
And then once, as Dan was saying, that once you begin to understand yourself, you can understand others better.
Yeah.
You can't understand somebody else if you don't actually know what your preferences are and your frame of reference, you know.
Yeah, sure. And
That's the thing.
become a bit kinder to yourself and
Yeah.
demands that you place on yourself as a result of the pressure we're under, especially as young people now, like to live this like Instagram lifestyle. I think kind to yourself, you can be then kinder to everyone else.
Yeah,
definitely.
Just an example for me, seeing lots of people like not abiding by the social distancing rules and stuff like that, like I could get really angry about that because I'm seeing the effects in the hospitals and the awful things that are happening. But actually I just thought, these people are never going to understand, and they're never going to see what I'm going to see because they're not there and they're not doing the job I'm doing. But equally, I get how hard it is to not like, we've been having all our liberties taken. I really get how hard it is, and I know for some people they're just not going to be able to do it. Like save me so much angry energy to just let it go. Like I know I'm doing my bit, so I just focus on me rather than getting raging at everyone. You know?
That's all we can ever do, isn't it? It's you know, focus on yourself and try and do the best that you can do for yourself, and then hopefully that reflects out onto other people.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, and like you were saying about having more self-compassion, more self-love, we've got to have that love for ourselves before we can love anybody else anyway.
Exactly. And I think now's the perfect time to start establishing some kind of rituals towards showing yourself a bit of love in whatever way it is.
Definitely. And you know, that brings us on to the next question. Do you think that, you know, this virus, you know, COVID-19 has highlighted some of society's ignorances, you know, things that we took for granted, and the fact that we wasn't necessarily looking after our health?
I think so, yeah, because obviously it's not fully, the mechanisms of the virus are not fully understood yet, but there is certainly a pattern between people with lifestyle related diseases like high blood pressure, I know diabetes, cardiovascular disease, having a higher risk of worse outcomes like being in ITU or death. So I think I'd like to think that it will make people think, oh gosh, I need to start looking after myself a bit more, and particularly the patients that I have seen in ITU and now going home, that's something that they've said themselves, like I want to lose some weight, I want to be on a better diet, make sure I'm exercising, relax more, all these things that us three know are important. Now this virus has come along and made other people realise, so I'd like to think so, yeah.
I mean, it's a shame that it's taken such a big thing to make that.
Yeah, definitely. But I think if we spin it on a positive, we'd never have had this realization without something as catastrophic as this happening. So if we want to move forward, we can just look at like, what can we learn from this, from how we can stay healthy, and hopefully if it happens again in the future, which God forbid, that we're all a bit more, you know, healthier and have a better immune system.
And you know, we know the importance of our immune system with the virus, and that's why, you know, people that are under stress may become, you know, more vulnerable.
Yeah.
You think that we'll also take into consideration our stress levels when moving back to normality to almost keep a healthy immune system?
Yeah, for sure. I think because, again, obviously before all this happened, our baseline for a lot of people is just low key stress all the time, and now everyone's like plummeted, and you've realised what it actually feels like to be relaxed. I think people will be more like aware of when they're reaching these levels, and they're like, no, I need to stop, and hopefully this time has helped them establish some things that they enjoy to help them relax.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because even like, just speaking from personal experience, people in my family that are very business minded, driven, doing all these things, but to their own detriment in terms of stress, now they've had this chance just to like breathe, just read a load of books, go out on walks, just chill out, and they feel, you know what, this life's way better, like it's not all about money.
And on that note, it's about being there for one another, like you're just saying. You know, would you agree that it slowed everything down, literally, the fast-paced life, and
Yeah.
that'll improve the physical and the mental health for everybody concerned, and people are really waking up to the fact that's the main thing. Your health is your wealth. Would you agree, Beth?
Yeah, definitely. I think before, do you know when people ask you these questions, like what's the most important things to you, like health always has to come first, I think, because without that you can't have anything else. Like everything else suddenly becomes a lot harder if you don't have it.
Yeah.
So,
This is completely random, but is your window open?
yeah, why?
Are the birds outside chirping away? Because I think
Yeah.
it's on the speakers.
Do you want me to shut my windows?
I'm going to shut mine. I don't know whether it's mine as well. Just in case it affects the audio.
Okay. Have you paused it or is it still going?
Still going.
All right. Oh my God.
Get the window.
I didn't even notice. It's such a relaxing sound. I didn't notice it would have been something that would have affected it.
No, I just didn't want people not to be able to hear you, and then the audio may have been affected.
Yeah, I think it adds kind of a nice little what we're talking about there, if they can hear it. But yeah, hopefully it won't.
Definitely, that's something that I've been grateful to hear when I'm waking up in the mornings.
Same. And it's sort of when you wake up and especially at the start, I was thinking, is this a dream? Like, is this COVID thing a dream? And every single day I'd wake up and listen to the birds and thinking, they don't have any clue what's going on. Like, in this like moment, everything's calm. And every single morning I'd wake up with that, like, I can hear the birds, the sun's shining, everything's calm.
Mm-hmm.
It's only when you turn on the news, which I'm actively avoiding, is when you realise just what's going on, and you just think, you know what? In my house, I might not be able to go out of it, but everything's calm.
Yeah.
A good way to start the day, listen to the birds. And
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, if we were going to leave anybody, any of the listeners or people that are watching this podcast, sort of tips, you know, to continue through with them, whether that's through isolation or then back into normality, what 3 tips would you give?
I think definitely the first one is just when life does eventually get back up to the pace it was before, just make sure that you slow down and stay because as me and you were saying, Dan, earlier, like life's a marathon, it's not a sprint. So just slow down.
And you know, I don't know about you guys, but you know, we were moving quite fast with me, myself and Mind, and you know, I was always training clients, seeing people here, there and everywhere, and maybe I was at sprint pace sometimes, and then when isolation happened and things weren't happening so quickly and everything almost plateaued, it almost got me down for a little bit.
Yeah.
Having that realization that everything doesn't have to happen now, you know, this is a process, has really changed the way that I'm looking at it.
Yeah, definitely. I think it will benefit the company in the future anyway, because that's the kind of the essence of what it is. So it's going to benefit it because that's your values.
Definitely. I think it's added this patience. You know, life is about being patient. Unfortunately, going back to your earlier comments about Instagram, that's sort of instant, isn't it? That's an life, but it's false really, because life doesn't happen instantly. It's a slow, gradual process, which we're all finding out. It's better to be patient, you know, within life than expecting it, because it adds more pressure to want to have that now. You know, it's not natural.
And even like with having Amazon Prime and ordering books and knowing they're going to turn up the next day, it's just, but now we have to wait a bit longer, and it's just kind of nice for having that anticipation that you've got something to look forward to in like 5 days time or whenever it comes. I think just like a side note from that, it's just nice to actually have to wait for things a bit more.
Absolutely. You know, and what other tips would you give?
I think one thing that I've certainly realised myself is, as you were saying, like getting to know yourself is one of the things we can definitely do in this time. Is like realising that kind of everything that you need to do whatever you want, you've already got. inside if you take the time to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
No, does that make sense? That's a bit of a like weird way to go about it.
It's a good way of looking at it, isn't it, Beth? It's you know, we've got all the resources within us already.
Well,
You
like
don't
we might have,
have to look outside.
we might not be where we want to be, but we're on that way, and it's everything that we need to get there comes from knowing ourselves.
Yeah.
I think.
And I think as well, you know, like you were saying with Amazon Prime, and you know, even myself, I used to go out of a weekend with Fleur, and you know, we'd go on different dates, doing this, doing that, or going for food, you know. But that's even been stripped back.
Yeah.
And at first, you're almost like, what do we do? But I mean, we've survived and had a lot of fun whilst being in isolation. So again, we don't always need these external things to make us happy. We don't need to go and buy this, buy that, do that.
Yeah.
Everything that you love and everything that you need is within you and the people that are around you.
And I think when you become like grateful for the small things and just realizing how lucky you are to be in your position, whatever it is, because I know that some people aren't as, you know, fortunate as you and I, but there's still always things to be grateful for. I think when you start to look at things that are as a positive, every situation just becomes something you can either grow from or be grateful for.
Definitely. And I mean, we might not get this chance again. When are we ever going to be so slowed down and, you know, actually use it as an experience to
grow from,
but so to just relax.
Yeah. And just chill. Yeah. Like when I do finish at the hospitals and stuff like that, I won't be back at uni until September. So I'm going to have like whatever 3 months just to do absolutely nothing, and I'm going to love it because I know it's going to happen again.
Yeah.
When do you actually finish then, Beth? When does the...
It's kind of coming to an end now because luckily the like cases that are needing hospitalised, like being hospitalised, is slowing down. Okay. So we don't actually need the students to help as much as they did. So imminently, I imagine, but for now,
great news.
Keep doing nothing. But it's been such a unique opportunity to have that I'm just, even though it has been hard and there's been weeks where I've just cried every night for the pain that I'm seeing, like I'm so grateful that I've had this opportunity and that I've made a difference, and the kindness that I've seen, like both received myself and other people, like, it's just been incredible, and it kind of gives you faith in humans for just in adversity, like how good we can be to one another and how strong we are.
It's almost that we have, and that's another good thing. I think we've gone from this me and I mentality to more of a we.
Absolutely. And I know we've talked a lot about being, you know, looking after yourself, but through doing other things for other people, it's just a benefit that it benefits you as well. And by being a nicer person to yourself, you're also a nice person to everyone else. So it's kind of a win-win situation. And I think we have realised just humans are social animals, so we need to look after each other. And I think this has shown us that we are like good people.
Absolutely. But I just want to thank you again for coming on the podcast.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
And I hope that you have a great evening, and I'm sure we're going to speak over the next few days.
I'm sure we will. Yeah, look after yourselves and make sure you enjoy nature on those exercise that we're allowed.
Definitely. Have a good evening anyway.
And you. Thank you for having me. See you.
Bye.